the elected officials are so that we don't have anonymous government. Because I think it is important for citizens to know who their elected officials are, and the best way to do that is by seeing their picture. And I think that other cities do that. And here's a newsletter from Chuck Uyghur. There's his picture right there. And of course, if you pull up his newsletter, he's got all kinds of pictures. That's what people do so they know how, so constituents can get a hold of them. There's nothing wrong with having a photo. And I'm asking that why can't, let us change our policy so that we have all of our pictures just like North St. Paul does.
Actually, we're probably paying for the North St. Paul newsletter because we pay into fiscal disparities and they collect.
We give them the welfare payment every year.
Mr. Rossbach.
Okay, so, well, Eric says so many different things that some of them contradict him, so I wrote down one thing that I thought that he said, but then it didn't sound like he was following through on it. And I guess a couple points. One is each body sets their own rules. So it doesn't make any difference what the legislature does or what North St. Paul does or anybody else. If we choose as a group to set rules that we think are appropriate for us, well, then we're the ones who are governing ourselves, and it doesn't make any difference what they do. And I guess the other point is that all along for the last 3 years, I've been saying the same thing. If the council decides as a group and will act as a group to have their photos taken, well then fine by me. But you've never been able to get the entire council to agree, one, to do that, and two, to sit down as a group and have their photos taken. But we operate as a group, not as individuals, and so unless we have a picture of us as a group, this is your elected governing body, fine, put that in there, but until such point as you can convince the other 4 people to do those 2 steps.
We actually had a great photo. Remember that photo of us standing there?
Yes, yes.
A classic by all means, trust me. Actually, it'll go on down in history of being a wonderful photo.
You can just
The
Photoshop
harmony,
me
the
into it.
And I would
camaraderie.
remind the council
was
that
impressive.
we had a professional photographer who offered to do that, who has taken the professional pictures of the North St. Paul Council, and the council members, this was before John Nephew's time, didn't
Chose not to.
go there.
That was exactly what I said.
So
So you
I'm,
keep asking.
so I'm asking the council to reconsider their position on being able to have their photo on the, in the city newsletter so that citizens throughout all of Maplewood will know who they are. Okay,
I'll second it. You got a motion?
that's a motion.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion second before us with regard to having all council members having their picture in the city newsletter.
As you're displaying there.
Yes, like this, individually, just like this, not all together sitting in each other's lap, but sitting with headshots.
That's not going to happen. We don't have to worry about it.
Can we
Okay.
actually decide what photo we want on there? If we want, or does it have to be a photo of us?
I think a simple headshot.
Some nice clip art, a little stock photography.
Okay, Mr. Nephew,
I know what I was thinking of.
we have a motion and second on the floor. Further discussion, please.
The phrase anonymous government doesn't, I'm thinking our mugs are on cable television an awful lot for this to be called anonymous. The other point is just that, you know, this is at least the 3rd time, if not more, that we've debated this since I joined the council a year ago. And I think it's kind of an unproductive use of our time and all the poor staff that has to sit around here. So we can take a vote on this motion to reconsider, but to my mind, it doesn't really help to rehash this at every meeting from now till forever.
Okay, so the motion before us on the floor is with regard to changing our policy and having all council member pictures in the city newsletter like this. Ms. Juniman, did you have additional discussion?
No, it was what Mr. Nephew just said.
Okay,
We're perpetually on TV. People can't avoid looking at us unless they try.
Okay, then we'll put it to a vote. Mr. Rossbach, first to vote.
No.
Mr. Nephew?
No.
Mayor votes aye. Ms. Juniman?
No,
Mr. Jelly?
Aye.
Okay,
I don't want my picture now.
very good. Motion
I don't want
fails.
yours either.
Next then, we'll be moving on here then to the New business. We have a code amendment, the property and rezoning request with regard to the R1R single, rural single dwelling resident district requirements. A staff report, please.
Madam Mayor, Council, thank you. There are two components to the discussion this evening concerning the code amendment and property rezoning request. As the mayor stated, Jennifer Haskamp is here, and she's going to lead us in that discussion. Mr. Mike Martin is here, one of the planners who's been working on this, along with Rose Larson and Alan Cantrud can answer some of the legal questions if they happen to creep into the discussion as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer Haskamp to lead us in this discussion.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Is this on? It doesn't sound like it is. Can everyone hear me all right?
Pound on it a few times.
You're on.
Yeah, we hear noise.
Okay, cool. Thank you for having me this evening. We've been working on preparing this interim ordinance for about the last month and a half or so. We've been going through the process with the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission as well as the Planning Commission. I've prepared just a short presentation for you this evening to give the members of the audience a little bit of background information as well as to give you a little bit of information in terms of how we've proceeded through the process, what the ordinance is and why we're doing it, and then obviously to open it up for questions and some discussion. This is just our first reading this evening. You will be seeing the ordinance again at your next meeting, which I believe is February 23rd. Is that correct? So we will be back and have the opportunity to take a look at it one more time at that point. So just to refresh everybody's memory, because I know it's been a few months at least, in December, the City Council decided to pass along or move along the comprehensive plan update. What that did was basically send out the comprehensive plan update to adjacent jurisdictions for their review. As we discussed earlier in December, that means that we're looking at a 6-month process where adjacent jurisdictions and agencies will get to look at the comprehensive plan and send back their feedback and their comment to the city. During that period of time and before the comprehensive plan update can be formally adopted, we've sort of got this gap in time where we're operating under the existing comprehensive plan and where we're setting new policy in the comprehensive plan update. In the new comprehensive plan update, the area in South Maplewood is being guided for 0.5 to 1.5 units per acre. That was the recommendation of the council as well as the Planning Commission. But again, because of that 6 to 9 month period in which we've got it out to adjacent jurisdictions for review and the Metropolitan Council has their shot at taking a look at it, that land use won't go into effect until we get that comprehensive plan fully updated and adopted. So we're dealing with the current comprehensive plan in the meantime until we can get that formal adoption. So at that meeting in, I think it was later in December or early January, my timing might be off a little bit, we were directed to prepare an interim ordinance that would basically protect South Maplewood since what we were after in the future is to preserve and conserve the natural resources of the area, but we still have this requirement where we have to meet the land use that's guided there today. So as you'll recall, the adopted comprehensive plan basically identifies all of the South Maplewood area as 4.3 units per acre. So legally we need to provide a way or a tool for a developer or a landowner to be able to achieve that 4.3 units per acre in order to be consistent with the current comprehensive plan.
Mr. Rosbach has a question.
Just to clarify, in case somebody hasn't been watching for the last 2 years, when we're talking about South Maplewood,